I now have the pleasure to reintroduce Debra Rozman of Heart Math. She presented us with a brilliant presentation on the science of the heart and its centrality to everything, practically and spiritually. It was a wonderful experience. So today, she will continue and take us now into a living experience of activating the global heart. Help me welcome Debra Rozman. Thank you.
Put this down. Thank you. So, we're going to continue where we left off last night, and those of you, if you weren't here, you'll catch up real quick. So, really, this is part of a new initiative of the Institute of Heart Math, part of our next unfolding mission, and it's a science-based co-creative project to unite actually a critical mass of people, which I'll be talking about, but millions of people in heart-focused care and intention to facilitate a true global shift in consciousness from the instability and discord that we have right now to balance, cooperation, and enduring peace. That's part of the energies coming into the planet. Everybody is waking, or people are feeling the signal. This is one of many initiatives, but a science-based one to really accelerate and bring the process together. There's the science. It's quite well known by a lot of researchers. We work with all sorts of researchers at universities, that the rhythms in the Earth's magnetic field, which are fluctuating and perturbating right now due to a lot of reasons, and we'll be talking about some of them, they affect us. We're bathed in them. There are frequencies, there are resonances, which we're going to talk briefly about, but they affect all sorts of things that are happening in the human body and in the collective consciousness. So, actually, some interesting research. I thought I'd show you just one example here. This gentleman was an astronomer, and he was intrigued by the connection of the solar physics and human behavior. And back in the 1930s and 40s, he published this work and was thrown into the Gulag by Stalin. And what he found was this, and this was calculated from the 1700s. You know, when he first started to do this, it was 1750. I mean, he was in these times, but correlating the different solar activity and human activity levels. Notice any correlation? How much our sun's activity affects the mass consciousness. And as you all know, the solar activity is a reflection of the higher esoteric sun and the will of coming from the central. It's all connected. It's as above, so below. So just keep remembering that as we go through this. And what he found was, let me go back to this, the mass excitability. Each of these peaks were solar cycle peaks, is where you saw something like a war or a creative breakthrough. He was able to correlate those peaks, and why he called it mass human excitability, with actual physical events. And you can study this. There's more information on the website, our website, if you're interested. Right now, oh, thank you. This is better. Right now, we are entering, or we are in the middle of a solar cycle 22, which is one of the strongest, and it peaks in 2013. And on the up of the solar cycle, you see different things happening. Like this solar cycle back in the 90s, there was Iraq invading Kuwait. 9/11 was right at the peak of the last solar cycle. Right now, we're on the up tilt of the next solar cycle, and you can see these different events that have been tracked to solar flares. Not necessarily right immediately at the time of a flare. You hear like X flare, we had one a few weeks ago, and M flares. All of these just create a tremendous inburst of energy onto the planet that affects all the kingdoms, including us, whether we're conscious of it or not. So these bursts of human creativity were clearly shown to occur during the solar activity peaks. And this is other university research. More people are realizing that the solar universal energetic influences are really part of a natural cycle. They're not out to get us, so a lot of people, they amplify the emotional state. They amplify whatever's going on. They amplify whatever these triangles and forces and the energetics we are working with. They amplify in human mass consciousness the emotions. They amplify fear, anxiety, anger, but they also amplify the glimpses of light that are flowing into the planet that people are getting, going, what's this? Which is where we come in as far as world servers. So we first have to take, if we haven't done so already, or whatever level we're at, the key to facilitation is to take more responsibility for our own energy and use these creative influxes. Not just to get higher in our meditations, that can happen, but to really take it to the street to better manage our emotional responses, our irritations, our impatience, our frustrations, our righteous anger. Nothing's justified anymore. It isn't. Okay, so just a little more research. This is an example or a picture of the Earth's geomagnetic field, which is changing a lot. The magnetic energies are changing. People predict the magnetic poles will change. The reality is what we can measure, and I'm coming from hard science right now, the third dimensional exoteric science. This is the scientists we work with. They just see perturbations happening in the magnetic field. They can create weather disruptions, as we're seeing, and they can create all sorts of energetic disruptions in the human system. What's interesting here is the Earth's magnetic field has resonances, and they all relate. These are cardiovascular frequencies. They're the same resonances in the human heart system. And I could do a whole workshop on this, and there's research studies you can download from the HeartMath website. But 0.1 hertz is that heart coherent sine wave that we saw, and that is what creates harmonics through the rest of the system. And it's also the Earth's nature's magnetic field. Everything resonates to 0.1 hertz. That's where spirit, heart, mind, brain, nervous system, planet all resonate on that frequency of love. That is that heart coherent waveform. So as the magnetic fields change, you think of the resonances in the magnetic field and also the ionosphere like guitar strings. When they get wherever the resonance of another guitar is, it starts vibrating too. So that's how mass consciousness affects each other, and that's how the Earth's involved. Now, we are being called to wake up and put out more love to create a harmonic in all these resonances. The ionosphere surrounds the Earth. It is the protective membrane that keeps life alive. The sun, if there was no ionosphere, the Earth would burn up. The sun's rays bounce off that. And the solar flares penetrate through it to a certain degree. And that's why you hear a lot of concern about other, the ozone layer and how that relates to the ionospheric protection. We're not going to talk about that right now, but the resonances in the ionosphere, the guitar strings, all resonate to brainwave frequencies. The Schumann resonance you may have heard of, 7.8 hertz, is the alpha rhythm. So as perturbations and energies and flares happen, they affect us. So we are being impressed all the time by solar energy. I'm not even talking about cosmic energy or esoterics right now. Just you can do the correlations, right? This is just physics. So our hypothesis in the Global Coherence Initiative is not only do the Earth's geomagnetic and energy fields affect people, people collectively affect the field. And the quality of our thoughts and emotions affects the heart's electromagnetic field, which you heard about last night, right? Which energetically affect those in our environment, whether we're conscious of it or not. That beautiful animation that Dwayne just showed you is a torus. And that is the universal movement, and the heart chakra, the physical heart operates in the same way, receiving blood, pumping blood. The energetic heart operates in the same way. And it's like an antenna as well. So our emotions produce different information patterns in the heart's field. All those irritations, frustrations, impatience, the list of stressors create this incoherent, jagged set of frequencies. The 0.1 hertz, the heart wave that's coherent, sine wave, creates appreciation, love, care, compassion, create this harmonic. What would you rather have radiating from your heart? And this is true for any human being. You don't even have to be, on the path or meditating. It's just we can have a choice. What we want to do, we can learn to shift from that to that. That's the Heart Math mission, is to put those simple tools to go from A to B within a minute in the hands of everybody and create an energetic field environment that makes it easier. So there's like a 9-to-1 ratio coming from the other worlds facilitating us, and we can create a bigger ratio down here because we have the planet facilitating us, as you'll see in a minute. So an intention from a coherent heart goes out like a radio wave, just like and you can tune to the station, like there's information, and the information is our moods, our thoughts, our attitudes, our feelings that are being broadcast through the heart's field. And it resonates with the Earth's geomagnetic field and ionosphere to create more coherence in the environment. So think of it as all one resonating, vibrating system. As we're putting out hate, fear, stress waves, the planet is responding as we see it's responding. And the planet is conscious. So obviously a lot of that's protected, or we would have really blown up a long time ago. Because human beings are just growing up. We're not mature enough. This is like a nursery school. And so Mama Earth, cleaning up our playground after us. But we're growing up because the planet's going through an initiation. And it's time for the planet and Mother Earth to move on, and the souls are here to move with it, or if they can't, to move to another planet to continue their evolution. So it's an initiation into the higher fourth dimension. That's why the heart center is being animated and is so important right now, because the choice of love is the choice that a majority of entities need to make. So collective amplification of focused heart coherence occurs in groups with social and emotional resonance. It creates a self-reinforcing field of emotional energy which serves to amplify and increase the beneficial effects, meaning help us reduce heart disease, change hormones. You'll see in a minute. The impact of a coherent field environment. This was a research study we just completed at Heart Math with another university. It is an independent study, actually. This individual was practicing heart coherence, had an M wave. Each of these people had M waves. They were putting out that exact frequency. The frequency is important, right, for the resonances to occur. This person was hooked up, and they were all hooked up to 24-hour Holter recorders. He was hooked up. He didn't know what was going on. And he wasn't a meditator or anything like that. There were 40 of these experiments, so 10 tables of 4 people, right, all hooked up. What we found was, as these people did a heart lock-in to a simple technique we're going to do later today. You've all done it, but we call it, they locked onto the frequency. That's why we call it a heart lock-in. They locked into the heart. This person became coherent. So this was the guitar string and matched. So now multiply this, because he didn't know what was going on, and yet he started to come into resonance in the heart. And as Greg Braden, one of the Global Coherence Initiative Steering Committee members, said, we all live in a field of energy that reflects back to us, not what we think in our minds, but what we feel in our hearts. It's the emotional system, the emotional polarization that has to shift to a different plane on the planet, and that's what's happening. And every time we manage our emotions, every time we choose to replace frustration with patience, judgment with forgiveness or compassion, or just even take it to neutral, we are contributing to the planetary initiation as well as our own. We are part of the group. It is group consciousness now. It's planetary, it's global, as well as our small groups of family and meditation groups and workplaces. It's all counts. So think of the universe bringing these new energies in to accelerate this, and think each one of us have this choice, and think of the collective choice, and think of us being able to resonate with Mother Earth on the ionosphere and the real physical planes. And the ionosphere is like a giant M wave in nature. It reflects, it's a biofeedback organism that reflects back to us what we're feeling on this planet. And as we move into love and intuition, the planetary shift in the higher fourth dimension is the shift into the Buddhic plane. That is where the planet is going. And it's going to go there with or without human beings. It's time. And the planet itself requires fifth dimensional energy to move into the higher fourth. You always need an infusion from the next dimension. And it relates to the rays too. In order to move into the next, move up. And Christ brought in the opening to the door to the higher fourth. That was part of his mission here, bringing in that love opening to the planetary system. And the fifth dimensional energy coming in will allow the mind through science to understand what's going on and cooperate with the heart, which we've never had before, really. And then heart and mind become one, and it's all connected. But the mind can direct intention and will, but without being powered by the heart, that will fizzles. It's heart power, the feeling power that animates the intention. And that is the true will in the heart right now. Otherwise, why would Moria write a book about heart? And it's accessible to us. The sayings, put your heart into it. Sports people, play with your heart, sing with your heart. They're all talking about putting this extra juice, a type of will, into it to follow through and complete the manifestation of intention. So it's really important for us we complete out through the heart. We qualify our next level on this planet through the heart. So a wise being once said to me, if you knew what was going on, really, you'd be putting out heart all the time, pumping it out, but genuinely, not feeling that genuine love or care, appreciation, forgiveness, kindness, compassion, the qualities of spirit. Doesn't matter which one. When I teach kids how to shift to the heart, the quick coherence technique, what makes you feel good? Chocolate chip cookies, great. Appreciate that, because that gratitude goes out into the field. So there's evidence of collective intuition. Now back to the science. This was random number generator data around 9/11. We saw it related to solar energy. This is quantum field effect, where even prior to the attack, we saw changes happening in the random number generators. They lost their randomnicity. Prior to the attack, just like the intuition research I showed you last night, the heart of the planet knew. And all of these 100 generators throughout the world shifted. This is NASA weather satellites, not quantum, but right at 9/11, there was a change in the Earth's magnetic field. So it was that powerful of a resonance. And look how chaotic these waveforms are. You could just feel it, how that affected the planet. Now, random number generators and Global Peace Day. Now, this is just this is a statistical thing. There were 66 of them throughout the world. We saw them lose randomnicity too. That was on September 21st, 2011. So we saw negative emotion, mass human fear created a change in the quantum field, mass collective peace generated by not as many people as were afraid on 9/11, but generated a really big change. Compassion and love, the good news, have larger effects on the quantum field. That's what Roger Nelson and the Global Consciousness Project discovered. That gives us tremendous hope and proof that love is stronger than fear in how we're going to affect the Earth's fields. So the Global Coherence Initiative is creating a global coherence monitoring system with other physicists from around the universities that are ultra-sensitive magnetic and ionospheric field detectors to listen in on the Earth's energetic systems, which has never been done before. And we're putting up 12 of them, we and our associates, across the planet at strategic points. These aren't like ley line nodes. These are where you can get the most vector to receive, like a satellite, what's happening in the ionosphere. And we've actually got one in Boulder Creek. They are magnetometers, very sensitive. They're underground. They have to be away from any interference, electrical interference. And we've got these sites currently funded by these different individuals. So there's 5, 3 have been put up. The one in New Zealand is being put up now. The one in Canada, there's another in Canada since this. But we're looking to put up 12 or 13, hopefully before the end of the year, to measure the effect of the perturbations of the solar fields but to see if we can affect the fields. Because these pick up and are sensitive to what changes in the ionosphere on a very, very sensitive level. And they were actually developed by a woman named Dr. Elizabeth Rosher initially, who she and her husband used them to be able to detect earthquakes before they happen. So the sites still to be funded are in these areas, although this might be funded already. They cost $50,000 each. Dr. Roland McCready is going over, leaving next week to Abu Dhabi to speak before the foreign ministers there because Saudi Arabia actually funded a site. I have wonderful pictures of camels watching the site go up, but it's on the opposite side. So when the sun's up here in Boulder Creek, it's dark there, and vice versa. So we're getting some really interesting signals. And we're just also need to hire some astrophysicists to really analyze this data, because I think in the 1950s, the first time they put an electrode on the brain and they went, oh, squiggly lines, what does it mean? And now we know alpha, beta, theta wave. This is where we are in terms of measuring and what does it mean in terms of what's happening in Mama Earth's brain and heart and how we're interconnected with it. So our model of change in the Global Coherence Initiative is that as we build our individual heart coherence baseline, and now you all know that's a very specific electromagnetic state as we put out love or care, but it's refining the frequency to get the static out and not assuming it. And all heart, love and heart helps create a field environment to make it easier for us to tune into the radio station that's being broadcast through the heart chakra and through the heart center of the planet. And as we do that, then we increase our social coherence. You saw in that study that it impacts the people around you. Energetic field environment. And then as we do that, and more of us do that, the giant feedback loop with the ionosphere and with the geomagnetic field can accelerate. And that's how the planetary shift can happen in a twinkling of an eye. But conscious, we have to be conscious co-creators with it. And the fifth ray energy is bringing in this type of research and understanding so that we can go, oh wow, I get what's going on, and more people can be part of this giant experiment of co-creation to create global coherence. And as there's more of a baseline coherence built in the Earth's field environment, it makes it easier to draw in and magnetize millions of people to be able to receive that frequency. So a goal of the project is to amplify individual and collective heart-focused intention and actions for the good of the planet. Right now, I'm going to go ahead to this and then come back. There are GCI members, about 40,000 in 86 countries. Only a handful, I would say, I don't know, because we don't, maybe several thousand are really committed, developed meditators. There's a lot of people just waking up. I don't know the numbers. It could be half of them are. But we did a study, an interconnectedness study, which is published on on the heartmath.org website, to see how the solar energies and the changes were affecting people's moods. And we got such a wonderful participation. It gave us really wonderful data to be able to add to the research going on. Right now, going back to this side, we're launching a new project, which you can go to the Global Coherence website. I put one on everybody's chair, some information about this. Membership is free, you can sign up, but at glcoherence.org. But we're launching something this year, 2012, Become a Coherence Builder and Create Critical Mass. Now, others are thinking this way too, and we're not saying we're the only ones, because this information drops in and downloads into the field, and whoever receives it picks it up and chooses. So the global heart coherence baseline will increase in ratios over time based on individual actualization. And when that baseline reaches a certain level, it indicates time for the planet the initiation is a process, but can really increase the vibratory pitch for everybody. And that will spin more people out, because some people won't be able to handle it. They'll be stress will take them out because their system, their souls will say it's too much stress. Let's go evolve somewhere else. So this pitch increase is happening every month. And it will continue, not just culminate in the grand alignment in December, but that will be the start of a new turn on the spiral. So critical mass, global coherence doesn't mean every soul on the planet has to be heart coherent all at the same time, or at the same time. You know, it's different levels, different growth, it's all counts. And again, doing it synchronistically really does add a burst of love power, firepower. And at the same time, just practicing increasing our baseline as individuals so we can hold the frequency, so we have more natural heart rhythm coherence in our system, whether we're doing anything or not. That becomes a new habit where the amygdala, the brain centers, it's imprinted. So we are naturally more coherent. And the good news, this is really exciting. We did a study with 10th graders. This was actually funded by the U.S. Department of Education to improve test anxiety, where we hooked them up, again, the Trojan horse, and we taught them heart math tools, just the simple ones, quick coherence, heart lock-in, and they played the M-wave games, because there's games there that make it fun to practice coherence, because you don't get to the next level without being at 0.1 hertz in coherence, putting out love or care or gratitude. And they did it 2 or 3 times a week in their computer lab. We had control groups and we had other experimental groups. And within 90 days, they had improvements in all sorts of their psychological scores, improvements, reduction in test anxiety, improvement in test scores. But what interested us is they had more natural heart coherence in their 24-hour Holters from pre to post. So they had a phase shift. These teens had the shift. Now, they have to sustain it, but they had you don't get that unless you get the inner aha. Oh, this is a better way to live. Let me keep using these tools when I start to feel frustrated, angry, impatient. Emotional self-regulation. Back to that very simple concept to get out of emotional polarization. We can all do it. Kids can do it. So we've been told that a critical mass of around only 350,000 people, like laser light versus incandescent light, the analogy, but committed to heart coherence practices to build their natural heart rhythm frequency and sustain it, conscious, could build a baseline of coherence in the global energetic field that can facilitate millions to choose to open the portal enough for millions to choose to move into increased coherence and base, and balance, to realize they can release the fear. They do have a little bit of a bigger picture. They can choose, and that means they can move on. We can weave a network of light in the grid so tight that it can take all the babies of the light, all of us, into this evolution. And I invite you to join that. That's why I'm here, and that's the mission of HeartMath from day one. So this is the Global Care Room on the Global Coherence website. I tried to get on live this morning, but I just got a new Windows 7, and I tried to download Global Earth again. And anyway, this rotates on, and if you go to the glcoherence.org, which is on that flyer, the home page, it'll say, Become a Coherence Builder, click here. And it gives you all sorts of ways people can contribute, because we don't want them all to have to buy an M-Wave and feel they can't be a coherence builder if they don't have one. But for anyone who really wants to be part of this 350,000, to put out the frequency, you'll need an M-Wave, and if you're an advanced meditator, just keep going to the advanced levels till it gets hard. And it will. To stay in the green. This is the little handheld device. This is the portable one. I use a lot because you can carry it with you. And then you plug it into your computer to see, or you can use it real time in your computer. Oh, there's the desktop version. I only brought a few with me in the bookstore, but you can get them on the website here or the HeartMath website if they're sold out. But if you don't have one, it's a worthwhile investment you'll tune into the downloads, into the frequencies. So this Global Care Room rotates. People come into it from all over the planet. We have made Global Care Rooms, we call them skins, so if other groups want to have one, they can rent one, for a small fee. And then we have a care focus that we change every month at the full moon. So we do a full moon transmission around this care focus. And anybody can go into the care room at any time. Sometimes you'll see 13 people and there are 30 or 100 people. If there's a major thing like the Fukushima disaster, this care focus. We send our heart focus care and compassion to everyone affected by the Japan earthquake and tsunami. And we do the care focus together for 15 minutes around at the full moon, but we'll throw one up at any time. There's something that needs more coherence to help dissolve the incoherence. Because part of the problem, the density of this planet, is so much judgment, fear, lower dimensional emotions, which aren't bad. They're part of being, in kindergarten, as a human race, have created just this density of cloud around the planet in the field environment, both physically in the ionosphere and etherically. And when we put this kind of love out after there's been a big earthquake or a negative event, it's not like we're amplifying the negative event. We're helping to dissolve the cloud, the negativity, the fear, the anger, the judgment around that event, so we don't add more crud to the Earth system. And we're also helping to allow more light into the planetary system. So we do have a care focus sometimes to enhance the light coming in, but mostly there to help clean up the issues, as we go, clean up the playground where the kids are fighting after the brawls. So we're going to do, how much more time do I have? 9 minutes? Okay, we're going to do a care focus together and do what we call the heart lock-in, and then if there's any time I'll take questions afterwards. But I thought if we all can do that, and these are the steps of the heart lock-in tool, and again, it's nothing new to you all, but again, what we want to do is practice going deeper and more genuinely and put out the deepest love and care and radiate it into this field environment and hook up to the beings that are radiating that to us and to the whole planet. So step one is close your eyes. Shift your attention to the area of your heart. And breathe deeply and slowly. Keep your attention focused in the heart, the center. As you continue to pretend the breath or feel the breath going in and out of the heart area. Now, as you do this, continue heart focus breathing, activate and sustain a genuine feeling of appreciation or care or love for someone or something in life, in your life or in life. Keep going back to that point zero in the center of the heart. And radiate that heart coherent frequency of spirit, of love, of care, of compassion, of appreciation, like ripples in a pond going out from your core center. Keep sending these feelings out to the planet, to each other, or creating, co-creating this heart field environment. If your mind starts to wander, that's okay. Just gently bring your focus of attention back to the heart and reconnect with the feeling of love or care or appreciation. Remember, it is the feeling, the genuine feeling that counts, that links up with the Earth's magnetic fields to amplify that love and care throughout the fields and reverberate it throughout humanity. Right now, I'm not having you do Om or say anything because I want you to just practice, continually bringing the thoughts, which are made of electrons, and the emotions back to that core point zero center in your heart. And choosing to feel love. And radiate that out. And love has many frequencies within the bandwidth of love. Forgiveness, compassion, kindness, care are all frequencies within the bandwidth of love. They're different frequencies, different textures. And then radiate that back out like you can visualize, but come back to the core feeling in the heart. Like ripples on a pond or waves of the ocean coming into shore from your heart center. I don't know if you can feel this, but you will with practice. As you're doing this and you keep going back to point zero, stilling the mental and emotional energetics, bringing them back to the heart, and activating the frequency of love. As you keep breathing and synchronizing your respiration with the feeling, that's what creates 0.1 hertz heart coherence. That's what couples you with the collective consciousness, higher consciousness of the planetary field. And as you do that, you'll start to feel and become that torus that Dwayne was referring to in the center of the heart. Breathing in, breathing out. It encompasses and embraces all the chakras. And merges with the heart chakra, or the heart crystal as we call it. That connects all with all, and each with each other. And from here, once you radiate coherence, but you sustain it for longer periods by simply refocusing in the heart, because the perturbations of the energetic fields will take you out. It's not bad at times. And you refocus. You breathe more slowly and deeply to about a 5-second in, 5-second out. You'll feel the rhythm. You connect at that 0 point in the heart, stilling the mental and emotional vibratory frequencies. And you activate a sincere, genuine feeling of love or care or appreciation or compassion. And radiate it out. And you repeat that until you feel you're locked in there and are that. Now let's all just Om together from that point and radiate to the wholeness. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Debra. That was brilliant and so needed. And I would like you to consider the 5 planetary centers for the sites: New York, London, Geneva, Darjeeling, and Tokyo. These are the 5 centers that were given to us as planetary centers that are bringing energy in. It would be great to have those as sites.
We have, absolutely. We need to have those specific sites for the physics of it, but one of them is Japan. I mean, there's overlap in what you said.
Absolutely.
And again, we would love to put up as many sites as we can because they will allow us to see and do the great experiments, because it's all online where you feed us data of how you're feeling, whatever it is. Thank you. And we will push back data. And we're looking to create a web, M-Wave web on group coherence, so we can get a collective group score. And then we can feed that back to you and say, okay, now let's all stop and do a heart lock-in. And you'll all see raising the collective global coherence score of people participating. That we would love to have by the end of this year, as well as the sites. It's all doable. It just requires funding.
Funding and participation. Right?
Yes, and participation. That's the most important thing, because if we never can measure anything, we all know it's real, and we'll know intuitively. So please invite you and those you know to let's become part of that 350,000 if that's your call to service. There is a call to action. There's a word going out. If it resonates and strikes a chord in your heart, come join us.
Thank you so much. Let's send HeartMath a wave of gratitude. Thank you.